There, welcome to day 15 of 100 Days of Python Code Along Challenge. I'm Bill Mosley, and just a reminder, if you want to find the entire listing of the 100 Days of Python Code Challenges, you can take a look at my website. It's bmosley.com/HDP, and there's a link below in the notes. And let's jump in. Today we're going to make a rock, paper, scissors game where the computer guesses rock, paper, or scissors, and the user guesses rock, paper, or scissors, and the logic will tell you who won. And we will do some interesting things there with loops and with error handling, and also plenty of nested if-else statements. So let's jump into this, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to start with importing the random module because we're going to use that to allow the computer to randomly choose from a list. So the first thing I like to do with any command line program is I like to welcome the user with kind of a silly little interface here, and it's just a way of presenting things in a little bit nicer way to let the user know that you care. So I'm going to print a line of 60 of those tildes, and let's print another one below that. And in the middle, I'm just going to center the words rock, paper, scissors, and we'll center it in a line of 60 so it all lines up. And that looks nice. Print, and I'm going to print a extra couple of line breaks, one by virtue of the print statement, and then I'm going to use the escape character for a new line here to print that. So the next thing we need to do is we need to get the computer's guess. And the computer's guess is going to be quite simple. And we are going to first set up a list of choices. And we haven't really gotten into lists yet, but a list is just got 3 spots in it, or the R, P, and S. 3 strings are in this list. So you can see the quotes separated by commas, and that sets up a list of 3 things. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take that list, and I'm going to use the random module with a function called choice to choose one of those 3 things and put it into a string variable. str computer choice equals random dot choice, and I'm going to feed it the list choices variable that I just created here. So same one here, it's going to choose one of those, and strcc will end up being the computer's choice there. So now get the user's choice. And the user's choice is going to be a little bit interesting because it's not as clean as the computer's. The computer is just going to pick one of those, R, P, or S. The user can usually type in almost anything, but I need it to end up being R, P, or S, or else I'm not going to be able to do the logic to see who won. So the way we do that is through a sort of captive loop situation where we don't let the user move on until they enter what we want. And so the way we do that is we're going to start out with a while true, and that sets up a loop that's just going to go forever until we break out of it. So while true, we're going to say str user choice uc equals, and we're going to use input choose rock, paper, or scissors. Now, this is a common user interface convention where we put parentheses around the letter that we want them to enter if they want to abbreviate that. So hopefully they'll get the hint and enter R, P, or S, but we also are going to allow them to enter rock, paper, or scissors. What we also want to do right here is we want to use the lower function, or the lower string method, to take whatever they enter and make it all lowercase. That makes it easier for us to deal with because it reduces the number of possible things we have to accept by 2. So now what we want to do is we want to check their input and see if they gave us what we want. So the way we do that is we say if struc equals, where remember 2 equal signs is the question, is it equal? Is it equal to R, or is struc equal to rock? Both of those are acceptable choices. Remember, we've turned them all lowercase, so even if they enter uppercase R or any combination of uppercase and lowercase letters for the word rock, we're in good shape. We'll take either one of those. So well done, that works. And in the end, we want struc to equal, well, not paper, but rock. And we're going to say R for that. And we're going to create another variable here called struc p for a print version of that says the user chose rock. And I'll show you how we're going to use that later. The other thing we're going to do is, since that is an acceptable form of input, we're going to break out of the loop. We're going to release the user as soon as they enter that. Now, we're going to use this block of code right here 2 more times. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it, change it to elif, because it has to go with this else or this if.
Else, eventually we'll get to an else. And I'm going to say paper, and we'll make that P.
Not PP. Gosh, how embarrassing. All right, so you can see here, paper is acceptable. And one more time, we're going to do scissors. Same thing, elif, s, or scissors. And we're going to say s and scissors. There we go. Now, those are the things they can enter that are acceptable. R or rock, P or paper, S or scissors, any capitalization scheme, we're all good with that. But if they don't enter any of those, then we're going to use else. And else says anything else they enter, that's not right. So we're going to print that isn't a valid choice. Enter R, P, or S. And let's put some new lines in here just to give us some white space. And let's see how that works out. Okay, so let's run this game and see what we've got. But before we do that, I'm just going to say print, and we'll make an F string. You entered struc. Now, remember the strcc has RPRS, and I'd like to create a friendly version of this. So UCP prints out rock, paper, or scissors. There is no user-friendly version of this, so let's create that right now. So I'm going to jump back up here. User-friendly version. If strcc equals R, then strccp equals rock. Elif strcc equals paper, or P, then strccp equals paper. And else, the only other possibility is if it's scissors. So strccp equals scissors. Okay, so since I don't have any other possibilities, everything is R, P, or S. If it's not R and it's not P, it must be S, which is why I would use else here instead of another elif. I could use another elif, but this is a lot cleaner because it makes sure that I'm accounting for every possible choice. So now I can go down here and I can say print F, the computer chose strccp. And now let's run this game so far. We don't have the logic to say who won, but it will play the rest of the game. So here we go. There's my rock, paper, scissors intro. And notice if I say Bill or if I say banana, it's just going to say that's not a valid choice. You have to choose rock, paper, scissors. It will literally do that forever until I choose one of those. I'm just going to say R for rock, and it says you entered rock. The computer chose rock. So that would be a tie. And that's convenient because it gets us into our logic of what's going to determine the winner. The first thing we should do is we should determine whether or not the computer and the user chose the same thing. The convenient thing about doing that first is that it says it eliminates 3 of the possible choices or combinations of rock, paper, and scissors for the user and the computer with a one command, because it doesn't matter if the computer chose paper and I chose paper, or the computer chose rock and I chose rock. A tie is a tie. So all we need to do is check and see if they were the same or not. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say strcc equals struc. Then it's going to be a tie. Print, it's a tie. Now, if it's not a tie, then we have to get into the details of what's going on. So nested in the else of this branch, I'm now going to say if struc equals R, if the user chose rock, and before I fill in that, I'm just going to fill in these other ones. Elif struc equals paper, and else, which is the equivalent of saying if struc equals scissors. Now notice I'm doing this as a comment just to make a note to myself, because if struc isn't rock and struc isn't paper, then it must be scissors. So I'm going to use else here. And that way, again, it's cleaner. I've accounted for every possible combination. And I've controlled for that up here where I make sure that what they enter is one of those things. So here we are. Now I need to implement the logic. Now, it's not a tie. So if the user enters rock or R, the computer has to enter P or S, in which case it either wins or loses. Okay, so there's only 2 possible conditions here. So I'm going to say if strcc equals paper, then the computer wins. If I choose rock, the computer chooses paper, then the computer wins. Print, the computer wins. Okay, so the only other possibility there, if the computer didn't choose rock because it's not a tie, and the computer didn't choose paper, then it must be the computer chose. Let's make a little comment here. strcc equals S, because that's the only thing left. So I'm going to put it in a comment just to remind myself. Print you won. Okay, so now I'm just going to take this part of that code and I'm going to replicate it down below, because these parts are almost the same. I just need to change the values for what makes the computer win versus what makes the user win. So if the user chooses paper, what does it take for the computer to win? Do you know your game rules? It takes scissors. If the user chooses paper, the computer chooses scissors, the computer wins. And if the computer chooses anything else, which the only other thing would be rock, then the user wins. Now let's do this one more time. Down here, so the user chooses scissors. If the computer chooses rock, the computer wins. And if the computer chooses paper, then the user wins. Okay, so that has the whole logic here of the game. And now we should be able to play a game of rock, paper, scissors against the computer and see if I win or the computer wins. Let's try it out. So again, whatever we type, if it's not rock, paper, or scissors, then it's going to just keep asking us. But if as soon as I choose something like paper, you entered paper, the computer chose scissors, the computer wins. So that's a very basic 1-round game of rock, paper, scissors. I would challenge you, if you want to challenge yourself to take the code a little bit further, try and figure out a way for each game to consist of multiple rounds, maybe like 3 rounds, or keep going until somebody wins 2 rounds, something like that, and then declare a winner. So it'll require you to keep score. It'll require you to look for multiple chances. There's going to be some additional looping involved. So see if you can figure that out. And if not, come back in a few days or a week down the road. We'll actually be doing something more complicated, and we'll include that piece as well.